Tonight on KGW News, extreme heat on its way out. How the weather will look a whole lot different by the end of the week. Plus, assaulted at the gym.
That's my sacred place. That's my safe place. Or at least it used to be.
A Portland woman's frustration with the search for a man she says exposed himself, then would not leave her alone. Then,
after President Trump deploys the National Guard to fight crime in Washington, D.C., we're asking what are the chances it could happen in Portland?
Oregon and Portland officials should be watching.
And later, the beloved Portland coffee shop with a whole lot of history about to make a comeback. Well, good evening, everyone. David Molko with you on this Tuesday night, where relief is finally in sight after a brutal 3-day stretch of heat where we flirted with the triple digits. Things beginning to cool off nicely now with an even bigger change on the horizon. Let's get right to Matt Safino with a first look at what is headed our way. Matt, it is about time.
Yeah, it sure is, David. After 3 days in a row of hitting 99 degrees, I think everybody's ready for some relief from the heat. None of these days were records, by the way. The records are all in triple digits this time of the year. 90s right on down to Eugene, and then hundreds and triple digits south of that. But the coast, only 71 at Astoria. And I say only 71 because yesterday they were in the 80s. So that was the first sign of a change. Now we're still at 80 degrees. It's still a warm night out there. Don't get me wrong. It's still toasty by Portland standards for 11 o'clock at night. But northwest winds are beginning to show themselves a little bit more, even a southwest wind at McMinnville, good strong northwest wind at Corvallis, and temperatures down the valley are cooler. We're still around 78 to 88 and 82 in King City and Sherwood right now. But look at McMinnville and look at Corvallis, 74 and 72. So quite a bit, 6 degrees cooler than Portland, and that cooler air will overtake the metro area overnight tonight. So we are certainly going in the right direction. We're running about 2, 3, 4 degrees cooler compared to the same time last night, but those differences will increase as we go into the morning hour. So again, the heat wave has been broken. We have cooler times ahead. Not as warm tonight compared to last night. Morning clouds even tomorrow, and then sun. We top out in the 80s, mid 80s. So a good 15 degrees cooler than today. And then further cooling on Thursday, and actual rain in the forecast for Friday, David. So an even bigger cool down and some beneficial rain on the way. Back to you.
Yeah, a lot of folks going to be thrilled about that. Thanks, Matt.
How we got here or what we think about the circumstances right now. We have more police and we want to make sure we're using them.
And that we are removing as many criminals from the streets and we are cleaning up DC as best as we can.
Tonight, President Trump's takeover of law enforcement in the nation's capital is underway, with the first of some 800 National Guard troops deploying across the streets of Washington, D.C. With the mayors you heard first, they're striking a more conciliatory tone and pledging to work together, while some protesters told the president to keep his hands off, and others questioned, given D.C.'s falling crime rate, whether there was really a need. And that first of its kind move, by the way, by the White House, which experts point out is legal for up to 30 days in D.C. during emergencies, has some folks in the Northwest wondering if Trump could or would do something similar here. Catherine Cook talked with a legal expert about it. So, Catherine, what'd you learn?
That it would be much more difficult for the president to make a credible legal argument to take over policing or send the National Guard into Portland. Though that hasn't stopped some people from keeping a very close eye on what's unfolding across the country. As National Guard troops hit the ground in D.C., people in Portland pondered whether President Trump could federalize the Oregon National Guard to help tackle crime here.
What he's essentially doing is starting martial law in D.C. I don't think that it's contributing to peace.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that Donald Trump would send troops. I personally wouldn't like it.
Richard Alberdress has a different take centered on criminals.
They're shooting you, they're stabbing you, they're running you over. So what Trump has done in D.C., if he had to do it to Portland, yeah, I don't see a bad thing about it. I see a good thing about it.
But outside of the District of Columbia, where the law allows the president to take over police for up to 30 days, would it be legal?
The U.S. Supreme Court, in a case in 1997, expressly ruled that the federal government can't commandeer state and local officials into performing ordinary law enforcement matters.
Norman Williams is a professor of constitutional law at Willamette University College of Law. Given that precedent, he believes what Trump is doing in D.C. is more of a political stunt.
Historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor,
rather than a move to combat crime, which D.C. officials say is actually falling.
I think the distraction here is actually to affect ongoing federal litigation in California over essentially the same issue.
In June, the president federalized the California National Guard, sending troops to L.A. to protect federal buildings and assist ICE with immigration raids. California's governor sued President Trump, challenging the constitutionality of the move. That trial kicked off Monday.
I think Oregon and Portland officials should be watching this California litigation very closely.
Oregon Governor Tina Kotek telling KGW the president's move in D.C. demonstrates alarming disregard for the authority of cities and states, and noted, "As the commander-in-chief of the Oregon National Guard, I remain committed to only deploying the Guard when our mission is clear, purposeful, and supports the primary mission to protect Oregonians." And the White House on Tuesday said it plans to reevaluate and make further decisions about the future of the National Guard on the streets of D.C. after the 30-day period is up. David.
Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate you digging into that for us. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. Police in Los Angeles have arrested the Longview man wanted in a double stabbing. We'll show you some video from our affiliate over the scene where LAPD officers say they arrested Alexander Rogers. Longview police say Rogers stabbed Don Peters to death and tried to kill Andrew Peters at a home last Tuesday. The suspect's arrest coming just hours after police found his car, a black spray-painted BMW, they say, in the L.A. area. Rogers was released from prison about 10 months ago after serving more than 2 decades behind bars. In Southeast Portland, police have arrested a woman accused of starting a fire that damaged a business. This was near Southeast 87th and Division, just after 6:30 this morning. The fire scorched the side of a building that houses Lee Min Bakery and Bistro. The alleged arsonist was arrested a few blocks away. And in Clackamas County, one person has drowned in the Malala River. Sheriff's deputies responding to the river near Canby Community Park Sunday night after they got a report a man had gone under. Authorities say the body of 24-year-old Enrique Hernandez was recovered from the water by other swimmers at the park. New tonight, Gresham firefighters, friends, and family of the late Brian Flowers gathered to honor his memory nearly 2 years after the firefighter died from cancer in what is considered a line-of-duty death. Alma McCarty is here with the follow-up to his story. Alma?
Yeah, David, this was the final step after state lawmakers passed a resolution this spring to present this honor to Flowers' widow and their 3 children, recognizing his life, legacy, and 15 years of service.
Arriving at the Gresham Fire Station for Elsie Flowers, feelings flood in.
Like a tsunami. Yeah.
Remembering her late husband, firefighter Brian Flowers.
I figured it would be hard, but I didn't know, just walking up, I would cry right away.
And I just want you to know this is the highest honor that the Oregon legislature can bestow on anybody in the state.
A resolution to honor Flowers' legacy and his dedication to community.
It was amazing watching a whole legislation all come up for one person. It was moving.
It honors, too, his sacrifice.
It's occupational, AML, acute myeloid leukemia. My husband's strong as a horse, just strong, and this hit very unexpectedly.
Diagnosed in April 2023, he passed away on November 19th that year.
But Brian, pretty awesome man, pretty grounded in faith, and our relationship was very strong, that I know he wants me to grow beauty around the hole. I know that.
Brian really did die much too young.
He was 48 years old.
First, I thought it was a little bit more personal and selfish for myself. Everybody, I want them to remember him because I'm so angry. But the reality is, I'm hoping, this is just when people read it, they'll remember, just the sacrifice of all firefighters or first responders.
Elsie tells me she hopes to be a voice for first responders facing occupational cancer. while the Gresham Firefighters Union continues to push for more to be done in regard to workers' compensation.
We are working on legislation to try to cover all cancers for firefighters, but that's still in the works, and we really need to move that forward because it is affecting people's families like Brian's.
In Gresham, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Remembering the sacrifice of all firefighters. Well, in an update, Portland's mayor is doubling down on his priority to open 1,500 new shelter beds ahead of this winter. Keith Wilson giving a big picture update today, saying his first goal to end tent distribution is mostly complete by the end of the summer now. He says the city will have opened 630 new shelter beds at 6 different locations, along with 2 homeless day centers. The mayor also wants to increase street cleanup by removing nearly 100 derelict RVs a month and has set a benchmark of reuniting at least 14 homeless people with loved ones each and every week.
In the last 3 days, we helped reunite people with their loved ones to Detroit, Michigan, Dover, Delaware, and yesterday, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, something else that came up, how the mayor ended enforcement of the city's camping ban back in February. Turns out it was only enforced about 40 times during the Ted Wheeler administration, resulting altogether in just 2 arrests. New at 11, a heads up that a test of the emergency alert system is coming later this week in Multnomah County, come 2 p.m. on Thursday. You may hear that high-pitched tone. Your phone's going to vibrate, though officials say no action is required. It's just a test. The alert may also extend into Clackamas County.